You all ready for Bible study? Alright, let's get in it. The resurrection. Joseph of Arimathea, I think, a wealthy member of the Sanhedrin, yet a good man who loved Yahshua, begged Pilate to let him have his body. Pilate agreed as soon as he had confirmed that Yahshua was really dead. The thieves had had their legs broken to ensure death, but Yahshua had had his side pierced by the soldier's spear. Joseph, with Nicodemus, took down the body of Yahshua from the cross, wrapped him in fine linen, and laid him in his own tomb. Hewn from rock in a nearby garden, Mary Magdalene, Salome, the mother of James and John, and Mary, the mother of James the Less and the Joses, watched them. Joseph and Nicodemus rolled a great stone against the entrance to the tomb. Then they all went away. The next day was the Jewish Sabbath. But the Jews remembered that Yahshua had said, "After 3 days, I shall rise again." So they sealed the tomb and set a guard over it. At dawn on the first day of the week, our Sunday, the woman came with spices to embalm Yahshua's body. "Who will roll the stone away from the sepulchre for us?" they said as they went. But the stone had already been rolled aside, and the tomb was empty. Mary Magdalene ran off to tell the apostles, but the other woman went into the sepulchre. The body of Yahshua had gone, but sitting there was a young man in shining white, who said, "Who do you seek for the living among the dead? Yahshua has risen, as he said. Go tell his disciples, he is risen from the dead. He is going before you into Galilee." In fear and joy, the woman ran off with their glad news. Meanwhile, Mary had told Peter and John, "They have taken away the Lord out of the sepulchre, and we do not know where they had laid him." The two ran to the tomb and went into the sepulchre, where they saw the linen clothes lying. They went away wondering, but Mary stayed outside weeping. Someone was by her. He asked her quietly, "Woman, why do you weep? Whom do you seek?" She, thinking it was a gardener, said through her tears, "Sir, if you have carried him off from here, tell me where have you laid him, and I will take him away." Yahshua said softly, "Mary." "My master," she cried. "Do not cling to me," said Yahshua, "for I have not yet ascended to my Father. But go to my brothers and tell them, I ascend to my Father and your Father. Yahshua also spoke to the other woman going on their way, but the disciples could not believe them. So generally, this is a kind of intertwined in the macro and micro, okay, story. So if you follow the sun's path, the actual sun in the sky, all right, during, I think it's like winter, right before Christmas, the sun will set and will not rise over the horizon for 3 days in, I believe it's like somewhere in Antarctica and in Alaska, so the north and the south. So if you're positioned there, it will not rise for 3 days, okay? Now, I could be wrong, please double check that, but on the event horizon, it won't rise because of its path, alright? It makes a figure 8, you know, at noon. If you follow the sun every day, throughout every season for an entire year, and you take a picture at noon, it'll make a figure 8 in the sky, because that's its frequency, that's its gravity pool, okay? And it's locked magnetically into that, just like the moon is. It's locked magnetically into a certain path. Well, in certain places in the world, it will drop below the event horizon and not rise back up for 3 days. That's layered into this story, okay? But it also has a quantum physical mechanic as well. So, every story that is told, there's truth in it. Because no story can be told without truth. Every story that has ever been told, even if it's a lie, stems from truth. Alright? You just have to know where to find it, where to look, what you're looking at, and how it came to be. Okay? So, with this story, it takes 3 days for the soul to ascend into heaven or be condemned to hell. Alright? So think of it like this. Alright, there's a 3-day trial period. Alright, the spirit leaves within 6 seconds after death. They've recorded this. They've literally recorded the weight of the spirit, which is 0.6 pounds. Yeah, it's 0.6 pounds. That's how much the spirit life weighs. So when spirit leaves the body, it happens like right after. The mind stays on for like 20 minutes after death, so the spirit can leave the body. That's how we're made. That's how we're made. So another angle of this is when you have an ego death, okay, it takes 3 days for your body, your mind, and your your will and your energy to come back and rebirth. Okay? So after you have a major tower moment, you know, life comes crumbling down, and let's say you go to jail. Okay, jail's usually a huge tower moment, especially if you're gonna be there longer than a freaking day. You know, like, all right, you're going to come to grips with it that you're there after 3 days. And it's just how it works. Like, okay, I'm here. Might as well make the most of it. You know? After you accept it, you know, after you have the ego death and then you go into acceptance. It's the, what is it? It's like stages of denial. That's what it is. Stages of denial. And then after you had gone over it, like, you begin to ascend to making the most out of things. You know? Like, okay, like, I did that, I messed up, yada yada yada. How can I do better next time? That's where you get, you know, that's how it works. You know? Only you can slow down that process if we're talking about ego deaths, you know. You can stay in denial. That's just it. That's it. Like, you'll slow down that process. But if you do not, the fastest you can move forward and make a better life for yourself after that tower moment is 3 days. It takes 3 days for you to go through the stages of denial. If you accept it, and move forward. But if you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to accept life as it comes, then you're gonna slow down the process, and that's just how it goes. Another angle, is the sepulcher. Kind of like a cave, hermit mode. You know, before or after you have an ego death, you go into hermit, right? You kind of go within, and you're like, how did I do wrong? Like, why did this happen? You know, yada 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 yada. You know. And usually you block everybody off with a nice big old boulder in front of that sepulcher, in front of that cave, in front of your hermit mode. You know, you close the door on them. Get where I'm going? That's what I'm saying. These are not just allegories. These are absolute fact. Macro and micro, as above, so below, as within, so without, correspondence. Whatever you have in here, you will see out here. Whatever you don't have in here, you will not see out here. So if you're not wealthy in here, you won't be wealthy out here. That's just the way it goes. If you haven't learned your lessons up here, you'll keep saying them out here. It's just the way it goes. Like, it's not rocket science. You've just been taught all your life by predictive programming from TVs. It's just misleading distractions. You know, it hurts. Like, they want people to stay hurt so that they can make more money. There's only one choice. It's either you choose you, or you let somebody else choose for you. At the end of the day, there's only one choice. Do you want what's best for you, or do you want somebody else telling you what's best for you? And you're allowed to be selfish about that. If you can't take care of you on the inside, how can you help anyone else? If you can't pour into your own cup so that you can pour into others' cup, how can you help? I'm doing Bible study, buddy.
Good night.
Good night. Love you.
Love you.
You know, it's a sad thing when you know how to help somebody, but you also know they won't listen. It's a sad thing when you have to allow others to experience life on their own terms. Because you already tried. You already tried to show them really big, life hacks, and they looked at you like you were nuts. So why try again? And I get that. Like, I've been there. I've really been there. And there's not much you can do at that point. At that point, you have to accept the fact that they're at that stage in their development, that they're going through the major arcana, and they're learning as you are learning. We are all students. We are all teachers. Like, don't think for a second that I have it together, like, in every area of my life. I don't. Like, not at all, because I continue to try new things all the time. I continue to explore all the time. And I'm not afraid to look like a fool. I'm not afraid to fail. I'm not afraid to look like an idiot. I'm not afraid to look like I'm arrogant. I'm not. Because I'm curious. I want to experience the world. I want to experience life. I want to try new things. I want to jump out of a plane. Of course, with a parachute. I actually told my kids, I was just like, look, I'm going to jump out of a plane. You guys are going to have the parachute. I'm not. That's how crazy I am. Like, that's how I want to experience life. Because I want to have fun. Of course I'm going to show my kids how to jump out of a plane first, I'm going to show them how to, pull a parachute, I'm going to, all that stuff. Like, I'm going to take them through the training courses and everything. But that's how I am in life. Like, I'm a daredevil. I can't help that. Like, I like to be excited. I like to bring people joy. I like to make them laugh. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. And my kids, they're the same way. They're the same way. They're fearless. That's how you should live. We should all live like that. Because fear ain't real. It's not real. Everything you do in this life is going to get you hurt, one way or another. Why let that stop you? You're gonna get your heart broken. Why stop loving? Like, it confuses me, with some things. Like, I don't want to stop loving because I got hurt. That just makes me love more. Like, I recognize that someone didn't love me correctly. That's not gonna stop me from loving. And I'm not gonna let them make me think that I'm not worthy of being loved either. Just like I'm not gonna let me not having a parachute stop me from smiling. You know, I know my kids are gonna catch me because I trained them well. I do plan on jumping. I do for real. I'm not even kidding. I do plan on jumping out of a plane, without a parachute. I'm serious. Because, I just am. I'm just that way. I'm not afraid. If it's my time to go, oh well, at least I did it with a smile on my face. Some people will call that crazy. But I call not living crazy. I call not trusting crazy. I call not loving crazy. I call being in fear crazy. Because it is. I've seen too many lives be ruined. Too many people be miserable with their circumstances because they didn't follow their heart. I'm not gonna be that person. And I don't want you to be that person. I want you to be free. Every time you wake up, you have wonder in your eyes. You go outside for a new adventure. That's all I want for you. Because I want it for me. So why would I not want you to have the same thing? I want you to be fulfilled because I want to be fulfilled. Law of correspondence. And I'm going to teach you guys all these laws too, and the practical way to use them as well. It's going to be amazing. Try new things. Do new stuff. I've read into every religion up there. Most of them anyways. And they all have truth to them. But they all have one thing in common. You see the sun in the middle? They all have the sun in common. You see, the Tower of Babel is exactly the same kind of allegory. The tower came down, and each separated. Each truth was separated. So all of these truths together make the whole. They're each a piece of the puzzle. Not just one piece is the right way, but all the pieces makes the path of gold. Let's move on. Today, our card is the Queen of Cups. By far, one of the most enjoyable energies in the whole tarot deck. Queen of Cups upright. The Queen drifts back and forth between reality and her imagination. She has learned over time she must be practical. She sees beauty where others do not. Many are drawn to her wisdom, as she is a good listener and understands people intently. She always gives others a shoulder to cry on, but her nurturing qualities can mean she takes on the emotional burdens of others too easily. In reverse, the interpretation. Reversed, this queen drowns in the turbulent sea of her own emotions. She finds herself easily swept away by her feelings. The real world is too harsh. So she remains in her own imagination rather than facing reality. Her moods are like the tides, fickle and erotic. Deep emotions coupled with worrisome circumstances can also make her insecure, needy, and clingy. Even her reverse sounds so much better than some of the other cards. That's why I said it's possibly one of the most delightful energies, because just understanding in both areas, it's cool. I think I've encountered a Queen of Cups energy maybe 3 times in my life, in the upright. They're awesome. I ain't even gonna hold you. Let's head over to the angelic realm and see what the angels want to talk about. Father, guide us. Oh. Saint Cecilia. Saint Cecilia will help you improve your singing, compose music, succeed at any musical endeavor, deepen your faith, feel safe and loved no matter what is happening around you. Invocation. To call upon Cecilia, light a rose-scented candle and softly whisper her name. If you have an altar, place a bouquet of roses or lilies on it. Write your request on paper and then place the paper next to the vase. She will surely help you. She sounds wonderful. It showed a harp on there too, so I'm pretty sure she's a great musician. Let's go to the demonic realm and see what they have to say. They're not any different, they serve a purpose too. Father, guide me. The head of dragons. Demon in the form of a 3-headed dragon with awful skin. In the Testament of Solomon, the head of the dragons is a 3-pronged spirit that is responsible for birth, defects, and epilepsy. He says he overpowers others through 3 deeds. He can enter the wombs of women and blind the unborn, turn their ears around backwards, and make them deaf and dumb, and make men fall down, grind their teeth, and foam from the mouth. He is thwarted by an angel of the Counselor Christ at Golgotha. The demon tells King Solomon that a great deal of gold lies beneath the foundation of the Temple of Jerusalem, which Solomon has under construction. Solomon finds the gold and binds the demon with his magical ring. He sentences the demon to make bricks for the temple. Further reading. the Old Testament, volumes 1 and 2. I can't even pronounce the word that's right next to it. Remember, this is always up for interpretation. You can take it, you can leave it, you can give it, you can hold it, but it's for you to decide. I'll catch y'all later.